That song you love is on right now, not later, not on a playlist, not something you have to pay for. I mean live, right now. That's called radio. In Seattle, that's called Warm 106.9.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power. This is a show that is all about building a better life in all the ways that you mean it. That's how we mean it. And we get together once a week for an hour to talk about one of those ways to build a better life through developing resilience. So we hope it resonates with you, and we hope to give you some things that you can kind of practically apply pretty simply every week and see how it works for you. We're excited to be back for another episode. I am JDK Winnikin. Across from me is my partner in so many different ways: business, friendship, podcast, so many things.
You name it.
You name it. The wonderful, the incomparable Ashley Kniebel. Hi, Ashley.
Well, hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. You're doing great. I know you were battling a little bit of an illness, so welcome.
I was. Thank you.
Welcome back.
It was my turn.
It was your turn. You bounced back so fast, though.
Yeah. I don't have time for that stuff.
You know?
I mean, like, I am grateful. Like, naturally, my body finds a way to get rid of things. And I understand there are certain people like you that when you get ill, it takes a few extra days. So I'm thankful. But yeah, nobody has time.
I think that's just because I'm old. That's what I think it is.
Oh.
Because I used to bounce back.
So maybe because I'm young?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll
exactly.
go with that.
We'll go with that. All right. Okay, so let's jump right into it, Ashley. The topic for today I'm actually really intrigued by. And I want the audience to know, listeners to know, this is another one that Ashley came up with. And I don't know, Ashley, if you go back and listen to the episodes, the one you come up with usually end up being real doozies, like really good episodes, like good episodes.
Doozies?
Just bring a lot.
Bad?
They just bring, no, it's not a bad thing at all. Just bring a lot of things.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into this. How would you describe this topic for listeners?
I don't know if I could describe it. I think we should just get into it.
Should we just get into it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, then what I'll use a clue in. How about we start there and then you just jump, okay?
What a tease.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So this is an episode about what happens when you realize you've given up some element of your core identity. Like something's been lost, right? And you weren't aware that it vanished. Maybe something you noticed because of something that came up or a conversation. Something that I think we can all relate to, where we just kind of go, well, wait a minute, when did that happen? When did I stop doing that? Or when did this kind of shift in, could be mentality, tone, emotional state shift? That's what we're talking about today. Go, Ashley. What's the context to tell everybody about this?
Sure. Okay, great. Thanks for the lead in.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I was having a conversation with somebody I went to college with, actually. We happened to reconnect online and was just kind of catching up. How's life? What's new? So on and so forth. And this is a very positive person, obviously, because we were friends in college. So like attracts like. They're positive.
Right. You're a positive person too.
Right?
You've described yourself as such, right?
Yeah. So, they're a very like outgoing, eccentric, friendly, like seemingly good-natured person. And as we're catching up and they're talking and I'm reading like what they're saying and whatnot. And it was like over kind of a couple of days, the conversation just kind of went. And I remember like a couple of times through the conversation, I would feel this, I guess I would call it an irritation reading their response. And I'm like, and what they said was there was nothing wrong with it. It was very good. It was, like I said, it was positive. It was like it's a great sunny day no matter what was going on, and life was good and all these things. And I was surprised at myself, like, why am I finding this so irritating? And then I had some time to sit and actually reflect on it. And I'm like, I think it was like envy. Or maybe a little bit of grief, actually.
Oh.
It was not irritation at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So grief, I think, is probably closer to it. I mean, I probably came out as envy, maybe on one level.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe take us through the process. You first thought it was envy, and then you ended up at grief. What was the part of it that you thought was envy at first?
Well, because I was like, oh, well, like that's so nice for them that they have such a, not an easy life, but like no matter what's going on, it's whether it's a stressful day or whatever, life is still good. Like they're, good things are still coming their way, and like nothing's really getting them down no matter what's happening. And And in my life, I have a lot of stress and a lot of turbulence. And I'm like, part of me was like, well, so nice for them,
Okay.
which sounds like envy.
That's an envy statement. All right.
Right?
Or at least on the surface.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I was like, well, wait, that doesn't sound like me at all. Like, where did that's like gross. Where did that come from? And then so it caused me to reflect. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe that was envy. But actually, I think this is a form of grief because that is how I used to be. And it really made me realize the gap of who I feel like I once was. I once was that very positive by default. Everything is good, no matter what's going on. I have my internal self that can bounce right back, like you mentioned earlier. And I feel like I haven't had that in a really long time. And I think there was a part of me that was like, oh, I just realized like the chasm between of where I once was and who I am now. And talking to this individual reminded me of like who I once was, because that's who they are today.
Okay. So the grief is the loss of where you once were, where you had this in common.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it lost or is it suppressed? Is it buried? Is it put on a shelf? Did you go into that at all? Or is it mainly just how's it been sitting with you since you made this realization?
It's a good question. I don't know if it's lost. I would say it's probably not, because that's so innately who I feel like I am. I think probably safe to say we're in 2026 now. Probably safe to say over the last 2 years.
Okay.
Like the path that life has taken me down has taken me so far away from that side of myself, and I've lost so much touch to it that I think it's still there, but it wasn't just like an overnight thing. It was a very slow progression of life and decisions and whatnot that took me in a different direction.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't even notice it.
No.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I do remember about 2 years ago, somebody that I'm at the time was pretty close with, they made that comment that they're like, you're not even yourself anymore. Like, I don't even know who you are.
Whoa.
And at the time, that was 2 years ago. So that was before I felt I lost it. And I was like, what do you mean? I mean, some things have changed, but like, I feel like I'm still me. And to see that kind of resonated back to me, I was like, oh, maybe that's what they were talking about. But yeah.
Okay. So when you realized this, how did you initially respond? Like once you realized everything you just laid out, what's happened since then? Like, what have you done with it? Anything?
I sat with it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually very heavy. I was having a JD moment. I was like, let me feel this out, literally.
See?
Where do I feel this?
Where did you feel it? Yeah, see now. All of a sudden now comes in handy.
It's only been like a year and how many months?
Yeah, better late than never.
I started taking notes.
This is what?
Aren't you just proud?
Episode 110. I'm writing this down. Episode 110. Ashley sees the light. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry.
Seeing the light all
I don't
over the
need
place.
to make this about
Wow.
me. All right. So you sat with it.
Yes.
And you felt it. So what did you feel and where did you feel it?
I felt it was very heavy.
Heavy.
Like just really, like not in a depressant, I mean, kind of a depressant way, but yeah, very, very heavy.
Okay.
I felt it definitely like, I would say in my heart, somewhere in like chest.
Right in the chest. Yeah.
Probably where I felt it most.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that process? It's obviously an uncomfortable one. Are you still sitting with it? Are you?
I think at this point, because this was a few days ago, that I have kind of reconciled that, just the honest truth of it.
Okay.
And now I'm kind of at that crossroads of like, well, what am I going to do about it?
Okay.
What do I want to do about it?
Right. Yeah. So on first blush, what's your answer? Do you want to get back to that?
Mm-hmm.
Reclaim that?
I do.
Okay. And when you really sit and feel it, like in your chest, you think it's there? Can you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think so, for what it's worth. Because I can't say that what you shared, when you shared this with me earlier this week, I was caught by surprise too.
Really?
When you mentioned that. Yeah, I was caught by surprise. In a way, but then the more we talked about it, right? And this is what Ashley
You're
and I
like,
do.
oh yeah, I've seen that.
No, it made more sense. It made more sense. And,
Okay.
as we unpacked some of the particulars, I was like, okay, I can see that. But I think all that stuff is still there. I mean, I see it in here every single week, right? So I think it's there. But I also take really seriously that you feel like something slipped away from you.
Mm-hmm.
That is unnerving to me when I notice that. Is it unnerving to you, or is it just you have just a different reaction? More sad.
More sad, I think.
Okay. All right. So, wow. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I think it's a really good topic. And it's, for me, I can relate to it. We don't consciously choose to lose these things, right? We don't consciously choose to lose track of these things. And I think for anybody listening, I think you could probably all think of something where this happens. We can all kind of drift away from things and not recognize how we got there. Some people drift away from faith, drift away from partners, drift away from things that used to really anchor them in life, interests, right? And so often we immediately go, okay, well, that's happening. They must be depressed, right? Now, there could be that in some cases, but sometimes that's change. And then the question becomes, when do you hit a point of awareness, if you do at all, where you have something like you had, Ashley, and then you go, okay, this is what's happening. I need to be honest with myself that this is indeed what's happening.
Right.
Which I think is a big step.
Yeah.
And then what to do about it and how to do about it. Right. Now, for the sake of this episode, it kind of follows the track of what we do in every episode, right? Talk about what's happened, talk about the effects of it, and then how do we move through it.
Right.
Right. So I think that's probably a good way forward on this one. What do you think?
I think it's good.
Okay. All right. So, losing that sense of, so just a couple more details. Was it things like just kind of enjoying things every day? Like what?
That might.
Yeah. What are some of the
to frame
specifics? Yeah. What are some of the
listeners.
specifics of what you feel you lost?
Well, yes, I should clarify this because people who know me are like, what? She's so happy and she's so, this, that.
I think it's going to surprise some people to hear that. Yeah.
Probably, which, I mean, that's what we're all about, right? Being honest.
Right.
And I am also trying to build a better life here. So we're all doing it together. But I used to be a very, very celebratory person, like so celebratory. Like any holiday, birthday, anything that is worth doing, I would do it. And I would love on the person if it was about, if it was somebody else's birthday, I would like really love on them. If it was Valentine's Day, I would like decorate wherever we're living or, go and do something special for them or whatnot. If it was holidays, I would like decorate the place I'm living, like the nth degree, and just try and make it, something like that. I would go out of my way, I think, to do a lot of things for people that I don't do anymore. I would go out of my way to do a lot of things for myself also that I also don't do anymore. And I realized I found a lot of things that I would once do and find joy in. And now I'm just doing it because I was like, oh, that was an interesting shift. I did even kind of come to this conclusion that I'm like, well, I don't have a lot of friends anymore because I'm so busy. I've got so much going on and I don't really have a lot of time for like really close friendships. And then I was like, well, the friends I do have, like, all of our lives kind of went in different directions. Someone got married and had kids and, so that kind of changes things. But then part of me was like, did you subconsciously push them all away because, you're so unhappy that you don't want to affect them? Ooh. So you have slowly also drifted away from your friends to not infect them with whatever you have.
Ooh, infect.
It's kind of how it felt. I was bet. Like, that's how it feels for me. All of a sudden I feel like I have, like
a virus.
Something that came in that I was like, you're not welcome here.
Wow.
This isn't me. This isn't how we do things.
And you don't necessarily want to be seen that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Because why? Because then people are going to pry or ask or it's going to force you to dig deeper than you want to dig, I should say.
I think it would cause people to question, which is fine. Like, especially if they're good friends, they're going to ask like, hey, what's going on?
Right.
And depending on the circumstance, there are things that I feel like I can share and there's things I feel like I can't. And the ones that I feel like I can't are probably the ones I need to and probably would be the ones that would make most sense for people to hear. And so then I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with that. So I'll just not go there and put some distance between me and my friends type of thing. But yeah, I just like we had, like Valentine's Day recently. And I was like, oh, usually like no matter what my life situation is, like I make a big deal out of it for like the people around me or if I'm with somebody or whatnot. And this year I was like, it's just another day. What is the point? And that's so not me. And so that's like an example of like, that's just not me. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So
I will.
There's some context.
Yeah. That's a lot. And, Yeah, heavy is a good word because I can feel that myself, just the way you're describing it. And to have you describe it almost like a virus, like an illness, on one hand is very vivid. On the other hand, I also feel some hopefulness out of that because viruses can go away, right?
They can.
And can be reclaimed. We can reclaim health. Yeah, and I think your awareness on maybe subconsciously, on one hand, keeping people at bay, there might be something to that. I also couldn't help wonder while you were talking about it that I know sometimes you are very much okay, got to go do this now, right? I have other things to do, right? And so you can sometimes, and I've said on the show before, that you can compartmentalize in really good ways for yourself. And everybody who can compartmentalize in good ways can sometimes do it in ways that aren't always helpful, very true. Right? Yeah. And, because there have been times, and I'm not telling any stories out of school here. There have been times I've said to you directly when we've been talking, I'm like, are you kind of shoving that off to the side a little too fast here? I mean, I get it, right? You want to keep moving, but that doesn't mean you move on from the realization or that heaviness goes away. But it sounds like this one really stuck with you. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, then, first of all, thank you for bringing that in. And hopefully all of you out there listening can relate to this. I know I can. And, I'll probably share some of those things myself. I mean, mainly because that's kind of how we do this, right? You relate, you empathize, that type of thing. But we're going to take a break really quick. And when we come back on Staying Power, we're actually going to do first thing we're going to do is do our weekly segment where Ashley and I each take a couple minutes and talk about something that happened during our week. This week is 2 minutes of triumph. So that'll be a nice little quick break from this. And then we'll get back to it here on Staying Power. So stick around, everybody.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Don't ask me to talk.
There's a lot of talk out there. Political talk, sports talk, girl talk, trash talk, and so on. But there's only one, Don't Ask Me to Talk, helmed by conversational off-roaders and podcast pals Eric Ryder and Stacey Heller. They follow every tangent they encounter, from cultural blind spots to their infamous weekly Wheelo topics. Listen wherever you listen to your fave podcasts. Subscribe and share too. Or tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KKNW.
On the path to good health and well-being, Alternative Talk 1150 is the station for you.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley, and we are talking about what happens when you realize you've lost some element of yourself that surprises you, and you want to know where it came from, how that happened, and how you get back to it or how you reclaim it. And we're going to dig into that here in just a little bit. But first, as promised before the break, it is time for our weekly segment. Ashley and I will share this week a triumph in our lives, all in the interest of sharing it with each other, sharing it with you, because that's what building a better life is really about, vulnerability and connection. So here we go, 2 minutes of triumph. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That, for those of you who are not from the Pacific Northwest, was the voice of the great Dave Niehaus, longtime announcer for the Seattle Mariners. Nice touch, Nathan. Nice touch. All right, Ashley, you've just shared a heavy, so let's go with what triumph.
Let's go with the light.
What do you have?
I would say it is a beautiful sunny day here in the Seattle area, and we've had some sunny days recently, but this one just is really piqued my enthusiasm.
Yeah,
how sunny it is, and it's still chilly out, so it's good sweater weather, but it's It's so nice, and a little nod to what's coming.
Little nod to what's coming, and I think, and sunsets are getting later and later.
Yes,
which is a huge deal in the Pacific Northwest because we go dark for a while.
It's really nice to walk out of work and see the sunshine.
Exactly. So yeah, kind of, I don't know. What do you do when you realize, like when you step outside and you realize it's a beautiful day? The first thing I do is I kind of stop and I end up taking this big deep breath. Is that what you do?
Of course you do. No, I don't.
No? What do you do?
I
just go, nice day, moving on.
Pretty much. I'm like, oh, it's so nice. Okay.
What do I got to do? Right.
Pretty much.
See, did we just talk about compartmentalizing? We just did.
I'm such a waffle.
I know. Okay. All right. Well, my triumph, if you are watching on our YouTube channel, watching on the stream, you're going to know what my triumph is. I'm going to scoot back here from actually, I'm going to stand up.
Standing ovation.
Standing ovation. I've been meaning to talk about this for a couple of weeks, but I am wearing my Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl championship official t-shirt because that is my triumph. Even though I had nothing to do with it whatsoever, I'm celebrating the fact that my football team won the Super Bowl and did so in very dominant fashion, which actually was pretty great as well. I like it when my teams blow out other teams. I don't like close games. I don't like any of that. I like sheer utter domination and humiliation. And the fact that they beat the New England Patriots that way is totally fine with me. So you guys are getting a look at my sports zealotry. But yes, it was wonderful. I mean, and the energy still in Seattle is still palpable from that.
I did watch that game.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, that was dominant. That was fun.
It was almost boring.
It was, well, but only boring because they were so good.
Yes,
that's right. That's what everybody said. It's a boring Super Bowl. That's because they kicked the crap out of them. That's why.
It was a good Super Bowl.
And if it was anybody else's team, they'd be totally fine with that too, by the way. So anyway, so my triumph was, like all fandom, I had absolutely nothing to do with it other than cheering them along. But it's exciting.
What triumphs are. They're just something positive.
Something positive. So. It was super fun, and it was super fun to be a part of it and to see them do that. And coming off the end of the Mariners season a few months ago that was so tough, this was kind of a nice thing. And now they're taking us right into the new Mariners baseball season. So
goodness.
Seattle sports fan JD is very happy these days. So that's mine. So, yep. So champions. Just everybody remember that right now.
Oh my gosh.
Champions. Thank you.
It's like a little child over here. Very excited. We're excited for you, JD.
Thank you.
All of us.
Thank you. You're just patting me on the head verbally, aren't you? Yeah. Just, oh, look how cute he is. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. All right. So now let's do the record scratch on the turntable.
Back to our regular scheduled programming.
Back to regular scheduled programming. Okay. So, one of the things that comes to mind, Ashley, and what you were talking about, we've talked about Viktor Frankl on the show before, right? Man's Search for Meaning. And he said something that comes to mind a lot. I think I actually have this quote written down somewhere in my house. And he said in that book, everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, which is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Now, I have seen you many times do that, right? Many times do that, right? Yep. Where you do. So this is not something you're not capable of doing, correct, right? And I know you know that. And I am encouraged. I was thinking about this over the break. I am encouraged by the fact that the awareness was there. You admitted that. You sat with it. Yes, you felt it in your body. Yes.
I pulled a JD.
Exactly. Pulled a JD. And it worked, didn't it? Yes, it did. But nevertheless, I think, but that can also in situations like this probably sound easier said than done. Mm-hmm. Right?
Sure.
So let's honest that. But it does indicate that we can choose to abandon ourselves, right? And we cannot necessarily control other people's work, right? You've talked about other circumstances, and it's, you get to share whatever details you want to share and not share. But so many of these other things involve other people.
Generally, yes.
Generally, yes, right? Our responses to other people, right? And understanding that. So what ends up happening is this is a term, I guess, if we were going to pick one thing, you found that somehow you were shrinking in this area, or you shrunk, or shranked. I don't know what it is. Okay.
I don't think it's shranked.
It's not shranked, but that's a good word though, isn't it? Okay. And what ends up happening is we can mute ourselves a little bit. Now, tell me if any of these sound like things that happen to you with this.
Okay.
What happens when we end up muting ourselves or we're shrinking? We recognize this. We can build resentment. Irritation towards joyful people increases. We just talked about that. Right?
Yeah.
So that one definitely.
Check that box.
Any resentment? I guess that's part of irritation, maybe.
Well, I would say not resentment for that person I was talking to,
right,
but resentment in the general sense.
right?
Yes.
Kind of a angsty resentment. Yeah. Existence kind of thing. Identity confusion can creep in, like, who am I? What have I become? What am I about? Right? And emotional flatness, and so much to the point that it can become normalized, quote unquote.
Sure.
Is that one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is all of this is actually a series of normal responses to everything you're talking about, right? So, for example, Bowen family systems theory talks about a differentiation of self, right? Which means the ability to stay connected while remaining yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that is, I think, a lifelong task for all of us, right? And in family systems theory, everybody kind of finds their own spot in any given circle, right? And in a given circle of anybody close to you, whether it's immediate family or not, it could be a partner, it could be at work, we all end up taking on roles that we either are assigned or we end up kind of carving out for ourselves. And usually it's based around we're trying to do what humans do, maximize pleasure or ease and minimize pain, right? And we all kind of fall into that. And it can take really kind of intentional effort to say, okay, I'm going to stay connected with all these people, but I'm not necessarily going to embrace or stay in this place I've been assigned, right?
Yes.
And so if we can't differentiate ourselves that way, what ends up happening is we can either end up fusing emotional states together with other ones, like to the removing joy and stress and sadness take over. Or the other possibility is we kind of cut ourselves off emotionally. And it sounds like you had a little bit of that when you mentioned that Valentine's Day. So what's the point? Right? That's kind of a cutoff point. And so I think, cutoff is like, fine, I'll stop caring about these things, right? Because either I'm not getting a response that I like, or it's not engendering the feeling in me that it normally does. And that's disappointing, or that's upsetting.
Yes.
And that's painful. Okay. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. Very familiar.
Okay. And so that then takes us into kind of attachment patterns, how we identify our patterns that way. Anxious and avoidant are the two big ones, right? But what can happen is in situations like this, whether you're an anxious attachment person or an avoidant attachment person, I don't know if you have done any of this for yourself or not. I'm kind of a mixture of both, right? Which is like the most difficult kind, as it turns out, for other people.
Like, what do we do with you?
Not a surprise for the people who know me. But nevertheless, what can happen with both, and this is part that's interesting, we can over-adjust to maintain harmony, even at the expense of ourselves. I'm going to keep things quiet. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Okay, you're nodding. Okay. We can avoid expressing our needs, especially if they aren't reciprocated. Yeah, I can do that too. And this can especially be true in environments where if you're around somebody who is struggling with depression, anxiety, trauma, or other people that because of how they are, they become the emotional thermostat, if you will. Like you're measuring how you're going to do each day to them. As a really wise person said to me once, anybody who you have in your life where they're going to determine the type of day you have by how they're approaching their day can be a sign of that, right? Okay.
Right.
All right. So there's that. How's all that landing so far?
Pretty square on the head.
Okay.
I mean, when you think, there's that phrase, and I don't know who said it, but you are a compilation of like the 5 people you spend most of your time with, right? And so that was one of the things that I kind of, as I realized all this and sat with it and whatnot, and then I started to get curious because I'm like, well, this is not me. So where did this come from? And did I do something, or is it my environment? Is it, what was it? What? And then I started to look, and not to say that any of the people around me are terrible people. They're all very wonderful people. But I do know that I come in contact very regularly with people that I know struggle with things on various levels, and they're all across the board. And whether they are spoken about or not, it does impact someone's day. And it can impact their regular thermostat, so to speak, their happy levels,
their own personal thermostat.
Yeah. And when you're around that energy often, like it can also suddenly become the standard.
Yeah.
And then you start to acclimate to that standard.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden yours becomes lower.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been a little bit of what was going on, is just people that I've been around for a long period of time now has caused that.
Yeah, because they haven't matched your enthusiasm.
Right.
They're not celebratory people.
Why haven't they come up yet? I don't know.
Right. They're not celebratory people the same way you are. And this is not to say that everybody needs to be the way you are. But this is a key way where you clearly felt really good about the fact that you were this way. You liked celebrating. You liked expressing those little joys. You liked that decorating, that expression, that giving.
Yes.
Right. You enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And so to have that not reciprocated, not necessarily as perhaps I would think as getting the same things back.
Right. Yeah. Not in like I want to do this so I get something out of it.
Right.
Type of
But
thing,
an appreciation sense, right?
Correct. And, eventually, like if you throw in against the wall, nothing sticks, after a while, it feels like kind of like, well, what is the point?
Yeah.
Like, should I keep doing this effort? And at some point it becomes disappointing. And like you mentioned earlier, it almost becomes painful because then you're disappointed and you're like, well, I don't want to feel this way anymore. So I just won't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's still good to do those things for yourself. And I think that's kind of where that phrase romanticizing your life comes from.
Yeah.
Is that, they say happiness is an inside job, and it's the darn truth because that's exactly where it starts. And sometimes that's also where it ends. Is with you.
Right.
And that's okay in certain circumstances, but just to have like an awareness of, if you're throwing it at somebody's wall and it's not sticking, then maybe it is time to do a little bit less over there and a little bit more on you instead.
Yeah.
And do things that, maybe you're with somebody that doesn't like to celebrate things, but you do. So still celebrate them. Like if they want to join, great. But if they don't want to join, you celebrate you. And you still go do that thing that you enjoy doing, whether you have somebody next to you or you're by yourself or your friends want to go or they don't want to go or whatnot. I just have found that is very, very important to stick to.
You've just described differentiation.
Oh, you're welcome.
You've just described it. It's exactly that. It's reclaiming your own sense of that thermostat, right? And being able to not give away yourself and still stay connected, right? Because one of the things I would say, two things I would say, you said almost painful. I think that word almost is a protection. I think it is painful, right? That's okay. That's okay. It's not meant as a criticism. It's just like, it is painful. I can see it in your face, right? I get it. That's the first thing. And second, the ability to then reclaim, I'm going to celebrate this, even if it's not being reciprocated or appreciated the same way, is a way that doesn't mean you're letting other people off the hook. It doesn't mean that you're over tolerating, right? It means you're reclaiming something for yourself. So in that sense, what would that look like? Like, what's the most immediate thing for you that you could do? Keep decorate your place for the holiday, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Just go completely over the top. Yeah.
Go over the top. But maybe go back to doing like the little things that I used to do for people that it might matter.
Yeah.
That actually would appreciate the effort.
Yes. Yes. I know several people in your life who that would
You're probably
be true
one of
for.
them.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting across
and
from
if that sounds self-serving, maybe it is a little bit. But all joking aside, that's a great one. And what I like about that is positive emotions and actions have been proven to expand our cognitive and emotional flexibility. So actually taking that action will actually take you further in the moment than you might think. And then, of course, that builds the long-term resilience resources because you start doing that, right? I think you could have a really fun time kind of planning out, like, okay, well, next holiday that rolls down that you get excited about. What do you get excited about? Like St. Patrick's Day? Do you get excited? No. So then what's
what am
after
I going
that?
to do with St. Patty's Day?
And then it's all the summer. Oh, Easter, I guess, is coming. Okay, not so much. You were thinking Halloween, aren't we? We're going all the way out to Halloween.
Yeah, I skipped, actually. I just skipped all the way.
Skipped all the way to Halloween. You
There's
do
some
love
other
Halloween.
good ones. I do love Halloween.
You do love Halloween.
I don't know. There's other good reasons to celebrate besides just
There
holidays.
are birthdays and other things like that, right?
Or just because days.
Super Bowl championships. Yeah, I know. I'm just going to ride this one into the ground. Just this episode, I promise.
I'm going to go with just because days.
Just because days. Okay. I love that. Yeah, that's all good. And this is for not just obviously Ashley to hear, but it's also an important reminder for me and for anybody. There's some big distinctions here that we keep in mind. to have compassion for someone else and for yourself, knowing there's a difference, does not mean you have to erase yourself. And that's sort of what we're talking about here. Understanding that someone is different than you and you're different from them in this area does not mean you have to abandon yourself. Having empathy for someone else, despite the fact that they don't do things the way you do, doesn't mean you're surrendering your own identity. And, though that's what differentiation is. And it sounds to me, Ashley, like you're recognizing that you need to get that back.
Yes.
That differentiation back. Okay. All right. So then how about, Ashley, let's take a break.
Okay.
And let's start talking about some ways back in this case, some solutions, not just for you, for me, for anybody listening, because you can reclaim all those things and it does not take what you think it takes, or might not feel as daunting as you think it might be. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have some practical things for you here on Staying Power.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdman. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley. And I'm glad you're laughing. That is good stuff. Yeah. We're always joking around during the break. Okay. It is time for us, Ashley, as we always do in the latter third of the show, to start giving some practical tips. And in this case, this is going to be interesting because these are ones that you're exploring right now. And these are also ones that have been proven to show in a lot of research and things like that, as well as anecdotally for me to really work, right? Because I can relate to a lot of this. We haven't had a chance to talk about it. But I will tease everybody. The next episode, we are going to talk about kind of my version of this. So you have to tune in next week because I've got my own stories here and Ashley gets to put me on the hot seat next week. But let's talk a little bit about how we can reclaim ourselves. Because Ashley, I know you're not looking to blame anybody in this, right?
Correct.
Right. It's not a blame thing. Yeah, I think you actually said that at the top of the show. It's not a blame thing. Everybody else is being who they are.
Right.
Right. And I think that's huge here, right? Because it'd be so easy to say, if this person just stopped doing this and reciprocated more, I would be just fine. Right. And if you've been listening to this show at all, you know that Ashley and I do not subscribe to that theory at all.
No, we don't.
Right. That's a victim mentality that doesn't go very far. Okay. So this is where staying power is really built. And that's why I think this is such a good topic. So in terms of practical things, where would you like to start?
Ooh, I would say one that hits really close to home for me is just to make sure to separate yourself and your identity and who you are as a person from the things or the influences that are, for lack of a better term, dragging you down.
Okay.
Could be people, could be like your workplace, it could be your home life, basically an environment. Every place we go is an environment, right?
Right.
So whatever the environment or environments are that are causing you to feel not yourself anymore, I would highly suggest and recommend that you find ways to remain in who you are no matter when you're in those environments. So do things that remind you who you are. Do things that remind you of what you love and enjoy doing. And for me, I think sometimes I recognized that I was the positive person and it would rub people the wrong way. Like I was, everybody knows that person that's like wide awake and very energetic at 5 a.m. And they're like, oh my gosh, shut up. Like I need my coffee. I don't want that much energy around me, whatever. There's those people that are like, I need a couple hours to wake up, and I'm usually that person that's like bubbly and wide awake at 5. And I know sometimes that can rub people the wrong way. And not that I talk to other people at 5, but in that same sense where, some people are just like, oh, too much enthusiasm. And I was like, okay, I'll just stop being so enthusiastic because I don't want to bother them.
And
I would say, actually, no, be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Be who you are.
Yeah.
Because it will feel better for you, and maybe it will rub off on them.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of separating yourself, but not necessarily like removing yourself. Kind of a clear, kind of almost like an invisible wall.
Yeah.
Like that's permeable. You can see, they can see you, but you kind of, you allow yourself to be who you are within that space, and everybody else can work with it. I like that. Yeah.
And not like a reckless way, but just just to make sure that you really are maintaining the things that are really important to you.
Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah. And those kind in asking yourself good questions on those. You asked a few, like you talked about a little while ago. What did I like to do before this? Like, what was it that I really liked to do? You were able to identify them pretty quickly. It's this, and this that I'm no longer doing, right? What things make you feel alive? I know those things help you feel like you're really taking on life, right, in a way that you want to. Those are all identity anchors, right? The ways that we are, right? And it's important to reconnect with those. And so if you're listening to that, those are some basics you can go to and just connect with that. Another one that, for me, that I think is important, you have to relate it to that. You have to reintroduce joy independently of your circumstances, right? And you mentioned earlier that you can start decorating your place for holidays.
Yeah.
Right. And if people come in and are like, whoa, this place has got a lot of like decorations in it,
like,
right?
What is going on?
lot of things on the walls here, right? lot of, we all know that house at Christmas or at Halloween, right?
My mom's
That's just
house.
like, oh yeah, right. Exactly. Decorating for a holiday, celebrating milestones, right? Ashley, you're connected to a lot of people, and you track people really well, like what's going on in their life and things like that. So milestones like that, being enthusiastic, expressing gratitude. I know, Ashley, when you and I sit and talk about when we have to remember with all our stresses, the things that we're grateful for, you and I can come up with really long lists, right? It's an important thing to be able to do, and our psychological well-being to do this, to reintroduce joy independently, it requires autonomy, competence, relatedness. And if we lose that autonomy, which is sort of what you've been talking about, our vitality drops, right? And for you, vitality is really fueled by positive emotions, celebrating, showing love, showing appreciation, all those things. And interestingly enough, in a healthy way, you don't need it back. You just like to know that it lands, Yeah. That's pretty good. All right.
Which actually that kind of leads into another one I would say is, allow joy and excitement and happiness into your life and give it out, even in places if it's not going to be necessarily reciprocated. And not to say like, again, do it all the time, because that's what I was saying earlier, is sometimes that can cause disappointment. But it's okay to celebrate the little things and to do things even if the people surrounding you are not participating. It's okay to go out by yourself. It's okay to go out to the movies or to dinner or out to a show or whatever, like if you don't have people, you don't want to be like stuck at home because you're like, well, I have nobody to go out with. Well, go out with yourself. Maybe you'll meet new people. You'll run into people out there, like your happiness should not be sitting and waiting and pending on the yeses or nos from the people around you.
Absolutely. That's really well said. I mean, because that's the danger of expectation. Even if we don't call it that, and even if we're not conscious of it, right? I think we all have an expectation. Hey, if I give someone a really great birthday present, they're going to be freaking excited about it, right? Or something like that, doing something special for them. Not everybody responds as well to that. Right? Not everybody knows what to do with that, right? And yet that kind of self-expression, I think for you, that's the key. Like, because you love this stuff. So just let that flag fly as far as I'm concerned, right? I think that's good. Yeah. And that I think is key. You did talk about that. I think also, and you'll laugh at this, but our nervous systems matter. And you found out when the rubber met the road, there you go. It does matter, right? Because disappointments or non-met expectations can create emotional pain loops that you reinforce. And we could, in theory, without digging too deep into this, see your situation as a series of subconsciously reinforced loops over time that just kind of suppressed all this, right? Pushed it down. In practice, what does this look like? Noticing your breathing. You know, there's all these different breathing techniques, and we've talked about them on the show before. I have found that the most practical one that anybody can do is the one that you don't really do at all. You just focus on locating your breathing. Like, am I breathing shallow? Am I breathing fast? Just noticing it, not doing anything with it, and experiencing the body when you are aware of it, start to regulate that breathing. You just inevitably start kind of calming down, right? When we do that. That's a huge thing, right? A hand on your heart can also do that, right? Really kind of intentionally saying, okay, I'm really going to sit with myself before expressing something, you know, all those things. Training our bodies to tell us, I am safe. The excitement I'm feeling is safe. The things I want to do is safe. And it doesn't matter the environment I'm in. I don't know. How's that sound to you?
I think that sounds great.
Yeah. It was so hard for her to admit that. I know. It was so hard.
My moment was not that dramatic. Okay.
It's not supposed to be.
Sheesh.
That's the thing. It's not supposed to be. It's not, that's the whole point, is it's not supposed to be this huge lightning bolt. It's supposed to be this steady practice where these things emerge.
Oh my gosh.
Proving my point. Anyway, what else?
He's so happy.
I know. I am. I'm thrilled, actually.
Wow.
This is huge. This is a big deal. All right. There's more.
Anyway,
There's more.
sorry.
Sorry. We're getting distracted.
I would just say, you know, and this is coming from like a personal perspective, is, you know, allow yourself some grace when you realize this.
Yeah.
And don't be so hard on yourself, because it's already painful. It's already like doesn't feel good when you realize that you've really lost touch with something of yourself that mattered so much. And know that it's still there, and it's just kind of waiting for you to pump some lifeblood back into it.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? You know, like just take a moment and notice like where the highlights of your life have gotten a little dimmer, and what can you do to brighten them back up? You know, like just really try and tap into the things that you once found so much joy in, and try doing them again without an expectation of like, life is going to be so much better after doing this thing. It might take a few times. It might take a couple months. It may not be those particular things, but it might bring about a curiosity for something else that will bring joy back into those spaces that have dimmed.
I like that analogy of light, because it doesn't take a whole lot of light to light a dark space, right? To see a little bit more. You need very little. And for a person like you and your personality, a little spark is going to turn into a fire pretty quick, right? I mean, that's sort of how that is. And that's just a way of saying joy needs outlets. You need outlets for the way that you like to express yourself and the way you like to interact with life. You just need outlets for that. And so what are those, right? So, yeah. So I've been reflecting on this for myself since we talked about this earlier this week. And a few things that came up for me, I'm wondering if might be good takeaways, either A, Ashley, for you, or B, everybody else listening, or both. Noticing where in life maybe you've gotten quote unquote quieter. You used that word earlier, right? Where have you gotten quieter? Where's things have been dampened? Or to take that analogy, where have things dimmed? What are they? And you don't even necessarily need to know how you got there, right? That can come in time. Or identifying a joy you've put on pause somehow, right? What is that? And how can you reclaim that this week? So like for you, Ashley, you know, celebrating somebody's day, what would be a way that you could start reclaiming that this week if you were going to?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I used to love baking for people.
Yes.
I'd probably start baking again.
Okay.
And then I need people to give it to, because I'm not eating that by myself.
Right. Well, whose birthday's coming up, I guess, is the big question.
I have some people, my coworkers, but
there you go.
But a lot of my coworkers don't like to eat sweets.
Well, bombard them anyway, right?
You know,
they know somebody who
that's
will eat
okay.
them.
Like they're healthy people.
That's what happens when you work in medical. Everybody's paying such a close attention to what they're putting into their bodies.
Everyone judges people about eating something not healthy. I'm like, I'm not a nutritionist. Hello.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yes, that is something, is like doing those small, thoughtful gestures.
Yeah. Just planning for it, saying this is what I want to do. Yeah. And like you said, not attaching what you want to do to somebody else's response, I know is big. Celebrating something small. And I think what you said was huge. Your irritation with that positivity, I think you nailed it. I think it was a clear sign of grief, right? Which is sadness over something lost, right? Good news here is so often grief is over things that can't be brought back. In this case, can be rediscovered or recalibrated. It's almost like replanting a plant, right? That died. You can, there's seeds. You can always do it again. Yeah. So Ashley, what are you bringing out of this after this conversation where you've really put yourself out there? Thank you for doing it.
You're welcome. It's a little weird, putting something that's so fresh and so personal out.
Yeah, it's gutsy.
I think you're the only person that knew about it until today. Yeah, actually, I think
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Wow. Yeah. Well, it is, first of all, that's, as always, it's an honor with that. It's a sign of what our friendship has always been, right? Because I've shared things in here before on the air too, where you were the only person who had heard about it until I talked about it on the air. So, I mean, I do think that's a real thing. What I will say is I think if you see that light has been dimmed, that's all the evidence I need to believe that, right? And so I certainly support you in what it is that you want to do. And all joking aside, yeah, you can bake for me anytime you want, right? I'll give you a whole list of things you can celebrate about me in a certain order, right? But that's not even what's important. I know, I'm just trying to make you laugh here at the end. Okay.
You're starting to sound like me.
I know. Right, exactly. However, I have to say also that what you're saying, I mean, it has me asking the same things. And as I said, next week, we're going to talk about something that in my life, I didn't notice had happened and had really dug in on me. Yeah. And I know that's something that you're one of the few people who knows about that. And so this is really relatable. This is part of resilience development. And this, I cannot stress this enough. Resilience is not about somehow moving to a point where you are absent of any of these things, that none of these things happen. These things will continue to happen in some way, shape, or form. What resilience is about is reducing, yes, the effect of those things in the short and the long term, but also really reducing down the time between what's happening and us becoming aware of it and allowing ourselves, through connecting in the body and the mind and with each other, to really allow ourselves to move through that. It's not about eliminating the discomfort or the difficulty. It's about being better able to tolerate and keep continuing to move, just like in athletics, just like in so many different things, right? Athletic things don't get easier. You just get stronger, right? And you're able to respond faster. And that's what this is about. So this is something that's going to continue to happen. And at some point, Ashley, maybe you're not going to be talking about it in this regard, but it'll be something else, right?
Sure.
And this whole thing. So hopefully all of this resonates with all of you out there. We really appreciate you listening to this episode. Ashley, thank you so much for bringing this in.
You're welcome.
And not to put too fine a point on it or stress too much, but I absolutely am in your corner on this. And whatever it is that you need from me, even if it's just occasional jokes or a reminder or something, remember, I'm always here to talk to you about it. So
thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to all of you. And remember, if you miss any of this episode or you'd like to catch up on other episodes of Staying Power, you can get this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also listen to this every Wednesday if you want to at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. We also have a YouTube channel where you can watch all these episodes. And in all those locations, we have in the show notes all the ways that you can get in touch with us, including our email, stayingpowershow@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you and answer any questions that you have, take any ideas you have for future episodes. We'd love to hear all of it. And yeah, Ashley, I guess we'll be back next week.
We'll be back.
All right. We look forward to seeing you then. Until then, I am JD.
I'm Ashley.
Thank you, everybody.